Owyang, technology analyst, serial founder, and business speaker. I'm also a data enthusiast, and I'm passionate how companies use technology to connect to their customers. And boy, have things been really busy when it comes to cloud computing. So Splunk CEO Doug Merritt is going to give me the lowdown about how Splunk is helping some of the biggest companies navigate this ever-changing landscape when it comes to digital. And we are definitely going to have some fun with this. It's not going to be like the normal session. Doug, welcome. This is your event, your live stream, but welcome all just the same.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Very happy to be here.
Now, this isn't the typical LinkedIn Live. We want to have kind of a quiz to really engage and have some fun.
Awesome.
All right. So I hope you're ready.
Whether or not I am, you have me trapped, so I'm game.
In your engaging keynote, you highlighted several companies who you work with, your brand partners, on what they've really done when it comes to managing their data. So we're going to play a game to see how well that you know them, and I call this the Owyang brand game.
Okay.
Doug, you brought the party. Okay, so Doug, here's how it's going to roll out.
Okay.
For every answer that you get correct, you get one Jeremiah.
Okay.
For every answer you get incorrect, you get an angry, disgruntled CEO, which we hope that doesn't happen.
Okay.
All right, so here's your first clue. Which store first opened in 1962, now has 11,000 locations globally. They have 2 million employees and sell nearly 75 million different products to their 260 million weekly shoppers.
Must have been Cal Poly. No, that's Walmart. That's Walmart.
You get a Jeremiah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Your second question for the Jeremiah or disgruntled CEO is this school was founded in 1901. They offer 65 bachelor degrees, 39 master's degrees, and 84 minors to approximately 20,000 students every single year.
We do some great hiring from Cal Poly University, so I'm guessing that's who it is.
Great partner to have. Another Jeremiah for you.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Awesome.
This last question, and you better nail this one. Founded in 1963, this company's founder won the first race at 15. Their 3-seat vehicle, not 2, not 4, can reach top speeds of more than 250 miles per hour. Try that in San Francisco. And go from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. Who is this?
McLaren.
You got it. You got the third and final Jeremiah. Nice job. No disgruntled CEOs.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Thank you for playing the Owyang brand game.
Love it.
All right. So let's talk about McLaren. Those are some of the most amazing athletes in the world, and as well as their team. And what I think about is all of the data that they're managing on the dashboard. Also, the data that they're managing of their competitors, other cars that are moving around them and trying to outpace them, and then the ever-changing track.
Yep.
And I think that's a great metaphor for what business leaders are going through today. They're looking at their business metrics and their dashboards. They're also tracking competitors who want to take them out, which could be even tech companies from the left or from behind. And then the world's changing faster than ever. Their racetrack, the landscape, whether it's social issues or economics or supply chain or COVID, it's a lot to take in. So I have a question for you. How can today's modern company be like a race car and manage to and adapt to this ever-changing world?
So first of all, I love the analogy.
Thank you.
It's a great analogy. And I'll just to double down on it. If you think about the race cars, they're massive sources of data, 1.5 terabytes per race. And that data's got to get back to the pits, and then it's got to get from the pits back to corporate headquarters, in McLaren's case, back to London. So it's a very classic distributed company with lots of different data sources. But my answer would be very typical, which is the way that I think most organizations can help themselves navigate the massive uncertainties on all those dimensions is they've got to become much more data-driven. They've got to move everything online that they possibly can. That's the whole digital transformation thing we've been talking about for a couple decades now. And it's non-trivial to do. So many of our business processes are still human based, and that won't go away. We still need humans, but almost every business process could have a much more digital footprint so that we become more software-driven companies. And then I personally believe, and it comes from my many years of being in the data side of the business, that one of the biggest advantages of getting software is now you have so much data, in many cases, too much data for most organizations, available to help you understand what is happening with the competitive landscape, what's happening with the environment around you, what's happening with your employee base, your partners. It's all available if you know how to use it. But data for me is the foundation and the cure for a lot of that agility that we all are looking for.
It's a great point. And there's examples of race car drivers or pilots or fighter pilots that have data blindness. There's too much information. So really finding the right information, I think that's a great point.
Yes.
Now let's just go with our racetrack metaphor.
Okay.
Along the way, there's always potholes. And these are problems that can really cause things to go awry when we weren't expecting it. And these are happening on a more frequent basis in today's world. As a leader, tell me about your philosophy when it comes to dealing with challenges. Are they challenges or opportunities?
I think the only way that you could be in certainly tech and even in an entrepreneurial type company is you've got to be able to look at changes as opportunities, not as things that you lament and wallow in. I did have a line in today's speech of, hey, trying to manage this environment. There's so many more breaches that people are trying to deal with on the cyber front. They're trying to crank out tons of code that they haven't even probably visualized yet to meet their customers' demands. That could be looked at as a set of data problems or a set of data opportunities. And my line was, I look at this data opportunities. So I think for us to live in this highly volatile and agile world, when you take something like COVID, which we've all had to rewrite almost every business plan and playbook we had, you could look at it as, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm dealing with all this unknown set of requirements that I certainly didn't plan for in my very laborious annual planning process. Or you can look at it as a chance to, all right, I get a white sheet of paper. Like, how do I want to think about the employee experience? How do I want to think about hybrid or remote work? How do I want to think about where I can actually source people from? I might be able to radically improve my diversity. I might be able to tap into communities I haven't thought of before. So I think the healthiest way to live through life, and we all fight it. I'm not always this way, but I certainly try to be, is when you're faced with something, trying to find the opportunity that comes from that change. Once you get past the momentary, oh my God, I can't believe I'm dealing with one more crisis.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also add to that, the companies that have been data-driven since the start can make faster decisions because they have the information on this dashboard for them to see.
Yep.
So as a leader, let's talk about the innovations inside of your company in Splunk. What are some of the things that you've been most proud of? What have you guys been working on?
So at a macro theme, the piece that I'll go to my grave being proud of from a Splunk basis is 5+ years ago, before it was imperative to be a cloud company, we decided, hey, that when we look at customers and what they need, the data volumes are going through the roof, and most companies are not going to be able to afford the technology and the personnel to manage petabytes or zettabytes or exabytes of data. And when we looked at the trend over the first 10 years of our founding, we went from a gigabyte being a lot to a terabyte being a little, and a petabyte being kind of the norm. And the only way we could help companies with that was to get to the cloud. We needed the infinite scale of cloud, and we needed to unburden our companies with the administrative headaches of trying to manage very complex data landscapes. So we took it upon ourselves to run toward that, which meant business model transformation, financial transformation, because you don't recognize revenue up front in a cloud world, go-to-market transformation. We decided to change our pricing model. So I'm so proud of the company from the board all the way down with our willingness to embrace change and risk. Within that, the innovation within Splunk over that time period has also been off the charts. We had a fledgling security set of offerings. We now are the #1 provider in the data-oriented security space. We were not in the application development and DevOps space. We were willing to invest at this point over $1.5 billion in acquisitions and a ton of organic development so we could actually serve a brand new technical buyer, the application development teams, the DevOps teams. And we've got a beautiful, the most complete suite on the market today as far as functional depth in the application performance management, monitoring, network performance management, the digital experience management, remote user monitoring management spaces. So it's a company that is not going to shirk from challenges and is going to face those with that innovation mindset. We got to do it. Now let's do it in a way that's unique, and fun is a hallmark of our culture, and we're trying to keep it fun at the same time so we actually enjoy it.
So you've gone through a lot of transformations. That's a lot of changes. Are there any specific accolades that really stick out to you amongst that litany of amazing things?
the customers for me are the primary metric, and having the Walmarts of the world, right? Fortune #1 company with the stats you went through. It's mind-boggling how many employees and the impact they have on the economies around the world. Having companies like Walmart and Intel and Slack and Zoom and Shopify and like incredible innovation-oriented companies that are very mission critical to the world, having them rely on Splunk as one of the core data plane components, which again, going back to data is the foundation of these companies. It's mission critical, and you need Splunk to ensure that those interactions with your customers, your employees, your partners, the regulators, that those are working, given that we're online. And that's my favorite thing to highlight is the customer satisfaction and the trust that they're willing to put in us to handle these mission critical workloads at scales that honestly were unimaginable for all of us at Splunk 7 or 10 years ago.
I love that focus on customers. In addition to customers, are there any strategic relationships with partners that really stand out to you?
Great breadcrumbs, Jeremiah. Thank you for that. Yes,
Thank you. I'm prepared.
we've always been focused on partners, and we have 2,000 plus awesome partners. I think adding Teresa Carlson as our President and Chief Growth Officer, as well as Sean Bice as our President of Products and Technology, has really brought a more intense focus on customers, and with Teresa, a really intense focus on partners. The benefit that you can get by having 3, 4, 5x the number of minds and eyes and capability on a problem versus would just be what Splunk does is a huge impact to our customers and the world around us. We were excited today to roll out an enhanced program for our partners called Partnerverse. Partnerverse, because there's a whole universe or set of universes of different
like a
partners out
metaverse,
there.
but for partners.
Exactly.
Got it.
We went back and forth on what can we trademark, but love that name. And it really is focused on, as we move to a cloud-based company and really helping our customers with digital transformation, our partners need new tooling. They need new enablement. They need new skills and knowledge. And what can we do? They need enhanced marketing, placement within our app framework, our Splunk base. So we've refreshed and rethought what does that look like, and we'll be all of you partners out there. You'll see incremental deliveries month over month in the coming months to make sure that we're able to really address the needs of the partners as they also, in many cases, are going through this transformation to the cloud. And then within the Partnerverse framework, we talked about the continued partnership with AWS to help with, again, cloud migrations and the overall transition that many of these organizations are going through, and a increased focus with Accenture, where we now are much more pervasive across the entire Accenture landscape, as they also are leading the world with.
That's big.
We're going to help people with their digital transformations. We've had a great 5+ year relationship with Accenture, 400 shared customers, but I think this is going to be the next big hockey stick up as we work together to tap the much broader install base beyond the 400 that we share today.
All right, so you're going with a big crew. I get the message. Those are a lot of great partners there. Doug, we are getting some questions in from social and the chat. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. The first question that is teed up is from Olivia M. Doug, what should be our one big takeaway from .conf 21?
Love it, Olivia. Thank you. Splunk is an innovation engine, and we're here to serve customers like that. Hopefully you see that with all the product announcements, with all the go-to-market announcements, with all the partner announcements. We are continuing to find ways to lean forward, to think differently, to invest so we can help with customer success, our #1 company priority, and that customers remain at the forefront of everything that we focus on as an organization. So look for that innovation. I love .conf because of all the customer stories and what they're each doing with Splunk in many ways that we didn't envision either. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you're using Splunk for that use case. So.
Innovation engine. Okay, that's a great takeaway. Doug, clearly you have some fans. Alex K asks, Doug, you mentioned you moved to Austin. Okay, this gets religious here. What's your favorite barbecue recommendation? Careful.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to offend. There's no way you cannot offend people.
Yeah.
So Franklin's is a super famous barbecue spot, and it is delicious. Salt Lick, very famous. I like Terry Black's. There is something they do with their food prep, and it's right near our WeWork office in Austin right now. I can't wait to get our permanent office. So delicious food, and for me, that has become my favorite so far.
That is great recommendation. We'll have to check it out.
All of them are great. All of them are great, and different palates have different preference. So.
That's a diplomatic response. We have another one from Michael B. His question is, what moves are you seeing from your competition, and what moves has Splunk made to set itself apart from in this competitive marketplace?
Yeah, great question. So one, as Sean Bice likes to say over and over, our president of products and technology, we're customer obsessed, not competitor obsessed. So just want to set that foundation that looking at those competitors, like your McLaren analogy, is important. You got to kind of know where they are and what they're doing. But the goal, our prize, that finish line is customers, and what are they asking for? Within that context, the world has woken up over the past 3, 4, 5 years that data is the new oil, the new oxygen, the new water. Like you hear every analogy in the world. Which means a ton of different people flooding in. Our focus and our excitement is it's really hard to work with the type of data that we work with. And we've got close to 2,000 engineers that wake up every day, and all they're focused on is how do we continue to strengthen the data platform that powers our solutions, and then weave effective functionality, machine learning, and capability into our security, IT ops, and app dev or DevOps solution sets. So we're excited that new people that don't necessarily come from the data world are saying, my God, yeah, we love what Splunk's doing and we love this landscape, and we're going to try and take a big portion of that. And given that it's a $90+ billion total addressable market, and we gave guidance for a little bit over $3 billion this year, that's a lot of market. And that's $87 billion out there. So we would expect and would be shocked if people didn't kind of flood into that market. But we really like the hand that we have. We've got tens of thousands of customers where we are literally in the core data plane and are mission critical to their business. We've got almost 20 years now of experience of dealing with very complex data before big data was a term and before people thought it was cool. And we're really intimate, I think, with the core user communities that we predominantly focus on serving and helping them serve the rest of the organization. So I think we've got a great hand that as we continue to finish the transformation to be a cloud-first company, I think that the world around us will see a more logical financial story as our revenues settle in a cloud world, and they'll recognize the strengths that we have.
Great response. I like to focus on customers, not so much on competitors. Another question from Joe R. With everyone moving to the cloud this year, what do CEOs need to know about cloud strategy and the role that data plays?
Another great question. So yeah, we've definitely, every customer I've talked to, and there's really conservative governmental agencies around the world, investment banks, telecommunications companies that 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, are like, well, maybe 5, 10, 15 years, that a year ago are like, yeah, we're going to cloud as fast as we possibly can. We see how secure it is and how infinitely scalable it is, especially when we can't get people in our own data centers. So cloud has taken over. The analogy that I have is, and I grew up in the relational database and data warehousing world, is we had historically very sparse data that was just highly authenticated small transactions. And if you think about the life of a work process, or it might be 2% or 3% of what happens, you're missing all the context. As you go to the cloud, and you now have got these very chatty feeds from every endpoint, across networks, from every application, you've got too much data. The challenge has changed from, can I infer what's happening from these sparse data elements to, I can now sense and respond real time, as long as I can make sense of the data. So massive opportunities for companies as they rethink what our data source is and what is in that data source and what could I possibly do with it. And then the challenge really is to climb that data curve with skills, understanding, awareness. And we're not all going to do it with certified data scientists. There's only a few of those to go around. So one of our big focus areas as a company is how do we help with that data divide by having people that are not classically trained data experts become experts in data. So that's a really important theme for all of our customers out there as well.
Great, Doug. This one is an interesting question from Jen Z. Jennifer Z asks, will the Splunk t-shirt company start producing masks?
So I did see today a Splunk branded mask. I hope it's from the Splunk t-shirt company. I did not verify its source, but we should, absolutely. It's if we can make great
I
T-shirts,
know the
we can
T-shirts
make
are
masks.
very hot, and the masks would be hot as well. Doug, finally, this is your 8th .conf, and in that time, you've gone from a mom and pop T-shirt company, love it, to a multi-billion-dollar data organization. Over the past couple of years, we've learned just how important company culture can be. Can you talk a little bit about Splunk's unique approach and why these .conf hoodies mean so much to so many people?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure why the hoodies mean so much, other than we celebrate users at everything we do. And .conf, which actually stands for the configuration files that are part of our core system.
I didn't know that. I learn something
.conf,
every day.
yeah, which I is first like, I mean, it's kind of a clever name, but what's it stand for?
It's very clever.
It's like, oh, yeah, configuration files. These are an opportunity to really honor those end users, those champions. If you saw the keynote, you saw all the Fez-wearing trust members. And I think that's probably why people are so adamant about these hoodies. We actually thought about charging from this year and gave up after we got a deluge of people saying, "Come on, give us the darn hoodies." So I keep all my hoodies. I love them. But I think the core, what I love about this culture is it is an intensely curious and fun-loving company. I think that started with the founders who were systems administrators that were rebels, and they just brought, I think, a really great dynamic to the company that so far we haven't lost, and we're trying not to. Because if you don't enjoy who you're working with, if you're not having fun, and if you're not willing to disrupt and think differently about how you're approaching problems, then for me, that's just not that much fun. Like there's other opportunities out there that we all have in front of us. So. We work, and we're now at 8,000 employees. It gets harder because of the size, but I certainly wake up every day and think about, all right, how do we continue to retain and grow and enhance and enrich this employee experience? Because without our amazing employees and all the employees of partners that are part of the Splunk ecosystem, there are no products and services, and there are no customers. So it's my favorite company I've ever worked for.
Good to hear.
I'm honored to be here. Oh, yes. And in that vein, I don't even have my hoodie yet, everybody, by the way. So Jeremiah ranks. And
this is for me? Oh my gosh, look at this. Perfect.
Mine's still in the mail. Conf 21.
Thanks, Doug.
You bet. I'm so happy that you were willing to share some time with us today.
Appreciate your time.
Vice versa.
Thanks so much for coming. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.